Hello, my Chunsters! Everybody loves that, don't they? My name is Ben Chun. Welcome to Wrestlecast episode 20. Tonight, I have, well, it's not tonight. It was going to be tonight, but we're going early. My guest being summoned to the training center in which he trains. Oh, hello. I can hear myself. Okay. I'm just muted myself, so I can't hear myself. That put me off for a second there. My guest tonight is all the way from WAW. Ladies and gentlemen, Grayson Reeves!
Yeah, baby. Hello. How's it going? How are you?
It's going phenomenally. I am so happy to have you back.
I'm very happy to be back. It's a full 20 episodes since the first time. A lot's happened since then. It was before I left, so it must have been about before Christmas. Was it before Christmas? Something like that?
Yes. Yes, I'm trying to think. In the last episode, we covered the news that had broken about AJ Styles being rumored.
Right.
So we're talking months. Yeah, this is the man who started the whole thing back off again.
I know.
It's a good time to come back because we got a hell of a good show today. A hell of a good show. We're sort of reformatting things a wee bit here on Wrestlecast. So try and tighten things up a bit, try and stop things going out of control and having Jason King episodes that go on for 2.5 hours. Yeah. Exactly. Reformat the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting with a plug. I'm going to be talking to you about the DWA training school. Then we're going to go on. We're going to talk to Grayson about my fan questions. I get Jason on my brain now. I shouldn't have mentioned him. We're going to talk to Grayson about some questions of my own. I'm going to start bringing that back. Then I'm going to tell you briefly about an LP show. We're going to do your questions. And to keep things tight and snappy, this segment will now be limited to 10 minutes. So if I get something like 50 questions, I'm not just going to sit here for 5 hours and ask all 50 of them. I'm going to take the best ones. We're going to do that. That's how that format's going to work. And then we're going to hype some 6'8", 350-pound monster news from CPW. And you might have already guessed the hint there. There's a big hint in the statistics that I've just provided to you. And also, I'm going to be addressing some sort of controversy. But there'll be more on that later on. And it's not going to be anything big. It will literally just be 20 seconds, if that. So, let's get on. Hype DWA. So, DWA, the training school. This is a premier location to go to learn how to be a pro wrestler because DWA, they do everything. They do entrances, they do promos, they do wrestling, they do everything. And the great thing about DWA is you have 4 trainers at the same school. The head trainer is the 21-year veteran, the UK Dominator, who I maintain has probably learned more on wrestling than perhaps 50 other wrestlers all combined. And then you have that was a shit one. I'm sorry about that. He's also there, and he's stunning with his crowd work. So you've got one of the best there. You've also got the big dancing dad. Is also there, and he's also trained. And the professional Josh Knott. So they're 4 quality trainers. It's £10 per session, half price for taster, just to see if what sometimes you can go along. And maybe it's just not for you and you thought it was. So there's £5 for you. Give it a try out. I mean, that's a good deal right there. And this is all hosted at the Exeter Boxing and Martial Arts Centre in Beacon Lane, Exeter. So right there is a pretty much one-stop shop for everything you want to learn about pro wrestling. A single session, I believe they put up and take down their own ring. So you also learn that, which is a vital part. If you want to be on shows, that is a vital part of what you do. And that is my plug for DWA. Nice and snappy. I see you smiling. Now, here's the deal. We're now going to talk to Grayson Reeves. Now, it's been a while, and a lot has happened with Grayson since we last spoke. And I'm going to try and ask about the most, because that's what I like to do. And these are my own questions. So we're going to try and get back into me doing questions, see if we can bring in some variety here. So here's the big news. The big news, in case you missed it. Since Grayson was last on this podcast, on episode 1, to relaunch this whole thing, he's basically the Iron Man of Wrestlecast. Yes, you are. Grayson Reeves has moved to a little place called Norwich, which you might have heard about, and WAW, which is quite a major deal because WAW is run by the Knight family, also known as Paige's family. So big deal right there. And in case you missed last week's episode with John Harding, we talked a bit about companies that are trying to break through that glass ceiling and take British wrestling to the higher level again. Well, WW is one of those companies that actually is knocking on the doors of getting TV deals. In fact, they've already done TV tapings, I believe. I think they've done 2 of them so far, actually. So WAW is big news in the UK. And this man trains and wrestles with them.
That is correct. You were correct. It has been 2 TV tapings now. So they had one in January. They had one January 30th, which was the first one. And we had Scott Hall over, and then we had Mr. Anderson. And that was the actual day that I moved to Norwich. So I moved to Norwich on the day of the first TV taping. And then we had the second TV taping, which was May the 14th. That was also awesome because we had other guys coming over. And our next one is July 2nd, which has Ted DiBiase over that, so the $1 Million Man. So tickets are flying away for that because obviously we've got new, fresh guys coming over. So everyone wants to see new people. So hopefully all the tickets will continue to sell quite well.
And yourself?
Well, myself, I wasn't around up here to start with for the first TV taping. So I'd been up here to train, but I wasn't here like full time. So I didn't manage to do anything on the first to watch, which was an experience in itself. But the second TV taping, I trained really hard for like 3-4 months. Need to be in the Sky's the Limit ladder match, which is basically WAW's version of Money in the Bank. But there was 10 guys in the same ring with, I think we had 3 ladders trying to reach for the contract at the top, which was an experience because we had it in the evening show. There's 2 shows a day. There's one in the afternoon, there's one in the evening. In the evening, there must have been about close to 600 people watching us, which was easily the most I've performed in front of so far. And the atmosphere was electric. It was amazing. After our match, it was basically, or after the show, should I say, it was probably acclaimed to be the match of the night until the Hooligans stole the show in their tag team main event, which was amazing as well. But any sort of ladder match to that extent with that many guys is always going to try and steal the show, and we tried our best, and fortunately it came off.
Oh, that does sound manic. That just sounds like one of those, you know what that is, like, puts you in the mind of TLC 2, WrestleMania 17. It's that kind of show-stealing match, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It was very similar to that in the sense that there was so many bodies. But there was 10 of us, so we had to try and make the match make sense, and it had to flow and it had to look good, and we all had to like play our parts really well. But the match was just so. Ricky Knight Jr., he did a swanton off the top of the ladder, missed the guy, and like that's a huge bump. The crowd were just gasping, like every spot. There was Max Peach took like a reverse razor's edge in a ladder setup. Into the ladder, like that. I would say that was probably the reaction that everyone was just like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, that looked brutal." Because because with a reverse razor's edge, the hands are out like in a T. So when you're thrown, there's no time to really shield yourself. You just take it full on in the face. That was pretty nasty. I took a spinning neck breaker off the top, right off the top of the ladder, or close to the top of the ladder. But until the end finally came, where Vilman's climbing up, trying to get the contract, and then Hot Stuff jumps off the top rope, knocks him off. It was just carnage everywhere. You didn't really know where to look, which was obviously good for the fans, and it was good for the TV cameras as well, because we had so many different shots of so many different things, so it was really cool. It was special to be a part of, and hopefully I get to be a part of many more down the line. Hopefully we get the TV deal, which will be really quite something.
Oh, that sounds it, man. That does sound like something. And yeah, hopefully you do, because it'd be lovely to see British wrestling back on TV. Because of course this whole thing sort of happened. I mean, I wanted to know sort of how that all came about, because it's quite a big move actually, coming all the way down here from the southwest and talking and moving all the way up there. So how did all that sort of get rolling, I guess?
Basically, I obviously started with you guys down at LEP and in Plymouth with John Harding a little bit. But in August, I first came up here to do the summer camp, which was like a week-long wrestling, which was completely crazy, and it was amazing. It was like the best week of my life. I totally recommend it for anyone who wants to do it. I mean, I think they're doing 3 summer camps this year. They're doing one for the main roster, one for the women's, so Bellatrix, and then one for the kids, which is like 16 and under. So that's like week long. You get accommodation. I think it's £200 for each week, but it's like 5 days of wrestling, 10 to 5 every day. And you get like different guest trainers. So last year there was Johnny Storm, Marty Jones, Tony St. Clair, Soraya Knight, and I think the first day was just Ricky and Roy Knight. They did the first day, which was pretty amazing. So I started coming up here in August, and then I came up here every month for training until I came up here. So September, October, November, and December I came up. First weekend of every month, which is their training schools. So it's easy if you come from far away. You never miss anything because you're always training together, and you get to train with the same guys every month. And then I was just like, I think it's time to come up here full time, because it means I can train anytime I want. I can do every training school. I can train throughout the week throughout the week in the gym, which is what I do basically. And you get to work more shows and be around the right guys, be around people who are more experienced, be around people doing things like that. So it means you can really progress and learn quite quickly. I mean, the biggest factor of coming up here was to work a lot more shows, in which I have done. I mean, down south, you can work maybe 2 or 3 shows a month if you're lucky. Whereas up here, maybe 6 a month. And then when it moves into the summer season, which is holiday camps, you can work every day. You can wrestle every day of the week, because you go to different holiday camps all around the summer and just wrestle in front of holiday makers. Sometimes that can be 2,000 people, sometimes it can be 300 people, but either way, it's a big crowd. But that was the main reason for coming up here in January, because I'd saved a little bit of money. I found somewhere to live. I managed to find a job within like a week of being here, so it all worked out pretty well, to be honest, quite luckily.
Right. Well, that sort of answered my third question, was like how you find settling in, but you basically tied that up in a nice neat bow there. Is it like
settled in real quick?
Yeah. Then again, I suppose going up for the training weeks probably helped with that, because it's like it probably gets rid of some of the nerves, like making that sort of bigger jump when you've basically been there and training for a week, or well, I mean, you're doing it for I think about 3 or 2 months of that, weren't you?
Definitely. I mean, the most nerve-wracking bit was that first day of the first week-long camp. But after that, and they see how well you do or whatnot, and you try and impress them, and you get to know the different people, then you're all good. So me going up every month helped get to know all the guys and stuff. So by the time I moved up, people were like, I knew everyone. So there was no real nerves coming up. It was just the pressure to be able to find somewhere to settle in and like have a job and stuff like that. That all worked out really quickly. So I settled easily within 2 weeks, something like that. And I'm not one of them people that will move away. And there are elements of missing home and stuff, but I generally don't miss things like that. I can move away and not really mind because I'm doing something that I want to do. So it's like not really a problem. So when I will say that I did settle in very fast for someone that's moved away so far, which is like 360 miles from home in 6 hours. So, but I still go home occasionally.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. You came back pretty recently, and there'll be more on that a bit later. So, I mean, the question is, I sprung this one on you the last time you were on the show, and it was difficult. Now I'm going to spring on you again, but with the WAW slant. So what has been the best match, or of course matches, because you couldn't rule it down last time, since you've been up there? And I should also point out, this is part of John or Joe Obrey's fan question as well. He wanted to ask this as well. And I was like, brilliant. We think alike here, Joe. I can ask for you.
Favorite match? I've had so many, like, I feel like I'm on a roll at the moment, like on a roll in the sense that I'm having good match after good match after, not like amazing barnstormers, but like I'm getting into like a consistent flow of having decent matches, so it's not too bad. I think before I left, Hawk's match was probably my favorite match I'd had so far. Which, yeah, it's still up there. Tyler's such a good guy, and it was really nice to work with him. I think in terms of most recently, I had a match with Max Peach in North Walsham at the end of last month, which I think you've seen because I sent it to you earlier.
You sent it to that,
and it was me versus Max Peach, and it was Babyface versus Babyface, which a lot of people think, and it's like, but I really enjoy doing them because I think you get to showcase so much more of each guy, and you get to do some really cool stuff. But that match was, the crowd were weird that night. I mean, we were on pre-main event. So the crowd, usually our crowd, like the crowd throughout the whole month of May was crazy, like amazing. Lowest off, they were nuts. Got to North Walsham, and it's like, oh, it's the last night of the tour. We're kind of like, So they didn't really know 4 really good matches on before us, but the crowd just was a bit like they were sitting and taking it all in. So me and Max just went out, did some comedy, did like some cool little technical spots and cool high flying spots, and by the end the crowd were like a little bit more receptive to it, which was nice. And then the main event went on after, and they got a good reception as well. So I think it was like a slow build to get into the Hooligans versus Special Edition rematch from the TV taping, which everyone was really looking forward to. But I would say that was probably my favorite match I've had here so far. Me and Peach have like some weird sort of chemistry sort of thing. I mean, like we both trust each other really well. I mean, at Lowest Off, we were in a 6-way together, and it had been the first time I took a Code Red. If anyone knows what Code Red is, watch Sami Zayn, he does it. But it's basically where they jump on top of you, you hook your arms in, and they flip and powerbomb you. It was the first time I'd taken the move, and he was really like apprehensive in giving it to me. I was just like, we'll just do it, see what happens. He jumps back, like I literally jump and we go like straight away, like click. The crowd went mental. They just thought, wow, like, because it looked so brutal. And I remember in the match he did it, and everyone, the crowd's just gone nuts. And I've looked over, and he's just gone, like his eyes are wide open because it like was so funny in the sense that he didn't expect it to go that well, and then he turned around, bang, takes a move. But it was just so, me and him have just got that weird chemistry that like we click together, which is nice because I have a few of them with some people. So I have it with Jason, and I have it with Peach. I haven't experienced a lot of guys up here yet. Like, I've experienced a few, but until I start working with the top guys, if that ever happens, then I won't know what sort of chemistry is like with others yet either as well. But I mean, I had a match with Robin Lakeem last week at Ultimate Pro Wrestling, which went really well as well. That was probably one of my favorite matches. Brutal. The next day I was really feeling it. It was a tough match, but I really enjoyed working with him. He was really easy to work with, so it was nice. But I would say that Max Peach at North Walsham was probably been my favorite up here.
Yeah, I mean, I love that match, and particularly when you show it to me, it's like on a closed circuit, so general public can't actually see that on Max Features channel. It's such a good match. I love the tech work at the start of it, and I love the fact that pretty early on, like you sort of hear the fans are a bit sort of like, it's a bit strange. You know, you get that feeling, don't you? It's like we all know crowds have been a bit like, it doesn't really matter what you do. But then didn't take them that long before they start coming up with a "This is awesome" chant, which is like really nice.
The WAW fans are really strange, that they can be really quiet, but they're just sitting and appreciating what you're doing. So you don't have to have a "This is awesome" chant after you put on a wrist lock. Like, we just did a few technical little sequences and stuff like that, and then they really appreciate it, and they're just like, "This is really good." So you take, like, at that point in the match as well, it was just after like the first beginning of like feeling each other out and doing our technical stuff. Whereas I knew there was so much more to come yet, that it was going to be like, by the end we'd do a good job. I mean, I loved throwing the comedy, and the comedy was my favorite. Probably, I love doing comedy in general because I'm quite a laid back, like easy sort of guy. So when I watch the comedy and when I do the comedy, I have the most fun.
I always love a little bit because it's like that's what I think makes the indies better, is a sense of humor to the wrestling, because the fans come to be entertained, and in fairness, without TV there, they obviously they don't know as much about the actual wrestling, so you can literally come out there and like to entertain off it, you've got to do like a few different unique things, and you've got to bring that, I think, in my...
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have variety. So like throughout the card, you can have a serious match, comedy match, another serious match, and then like a tag team match, different elements thrown in. So you have your cruiserweights, and then you have your heavyweights. So like that's what WAW has as well. They've got serious like variety. So you've got our cruiserweight division at the moment is really good. Probably headed by Ricky Knight Jr., who's probably going to be one of the best cruiserweights around soon. And he's so young, which is really annoying. But then you've got the main event guys, and you've got the big heavyweights like Robin, and then you've got Brad Slayer, who's going to be another big heavyweight in the future. He's a big heavyweight now, former British champion, but that's what WAW has. They've got a lot of variety, and they've got different characters, which is cooler.
I mean, it's definitely it's essential, I think, in creating an essential show. One of my questions for you was, you mentioned like progressing quite quickly. So, I mean, how have you grown as a wrestler since being there? Because obviously, hugely. I would say like I've learned so much in such a short time, just through being around and having access to be able to train by myself and stuff. I mean, generally when I'm by myself anyway, I'll watch wrestling, and I've even got my book here now. Like I've been doing it all afternoon, like just writing stuff down, thinking of ideas, planning like spots and sequences, and thinking what would be cool and what the fans would want to see and all that sort of stuff, and what I want to try myself, like because I want to like try and push what I can do. But I would say I've learned a lot more. I've learned how to structure matches way better, and I've learned how to like. It's hard. I've just learned everything so much, because like you can just be a sieve, not a sieve, a sponge, where you just take it all in and you just like hold it all in. Yeah, you don't want to be a sieve, because then it'll be straight out. It's like basically you
want to be a sponge. That's what you want to be. Oh dear.
Can you imagine how frustrating that would be if you're for a trainer, if you had a sieve for a student? Can you imagine?
Well, you would know, Glenn.
Mate, really?
I went there.
Oh, I can't say I've ever had a sieve for a student. I don't do much teaching. I try and learn if I can.
Yeah. But yeah, I've learned a lot, like in such a short space of time, and that's mainly due to having the opportunity to work more shows and work in front of a crowd.
Yeah, it's because it's got to be a different animal. I mean, you can do it in training, but doing it in front of a crowd, it must be a different energy. It has to be.
Definitely. But like, you can do all the flippy dippy, you can do all the technical stuff in the world when it's just you and someone training together in the ring. But if that doesn't work, if you don't get the opportunity to do that in front of a crowd, you never know if it's going to work. And that's how you know if something's going to work, is if you do it in front of a crowd. Because you can do something you think is the coolest thing in the world. You do it in front of a crowd, and the crowd could just be like, I don't get it. So, do you know what I mean? Like, you need to, it's all about trial and error, I think.
Oh, absolutely. That's evolution in a nutshell, in fairness. So you do come down to the Southwest still every so often. And one of the recent ventures since you've come down here is the New Age. Now, this is a reuniting with a certain Jason King. And seems as though you guys are a little bit on the fringe of PWA at the moment. There's a certain few attacks on some Kriegers and some John Hardings that are going on.
Only a couple, not too many. It's when they get in the way, so we just got to deal with them. I mean, I wouldn't say we were on the fringe. I'm the British champion down in PWA right now. It's kind of not the main man, but I'm like one of the guys that are on the way up. And if I need Jason to help me get there, then I'm going to use him. And Jason needs me, so we're a good team at that point.
Yeah, because I saw the New Age video. It was kind of, well, outsiders, I'd say.
Yeah, we are outsiders, essentially. We're the guys that are just going to come in and just raise hell and take over and just steal, cheat, do anything we want to do to try and get the win in the end. And we're being pretty successful at the moment with it. Anyway, I mean, next show, I don't know what's going to happen. Nothing's been announced yet, but I've heard Krieger wants to get his hands on Jason King, so that could be a potential matchup. If not, and if that is a potential matchup, then I've got his back. So we'll just have to wait and find out.
Well, so Krieger, be careful. You mess with one, you mess with the other. That's I tell you what, you don't want to get around doing that. I saw a video recently. LEP, Dimitri on tour. He tried to barge through two members of the firm, a current dominant faction running around here in the Southwest. He quickly found out you don't want to mess with two people when you're just one. Yeah,
exactly. It's a number of the numbers. You're going to win.
It is. It's math. It's math. Rachel Riley will tell you this as well. I'll tell you, I would quite like to have her in person telling me that. Now, here's the other thing as well. Since your return to Southwest, you did in fact return to LEP at Plymouth. I've got to ask you, how did that feel actually coming back home to LEP after that time away?
It was strangely nice. And it was nice because I got to come back and I got to interrupt Jason in his winning speech. I think it's more just like friendly competition now between me and him. It's like, he's a bad guy and I'm not exactly a good guy, but I'll come back and I still got to take what I'm owed. So I'm owed that #1 contendership match. I mean, I beat him at Rumble. I beat Krieger at the Rumble. So, I mean, all I'm coming back for is my opportunity, which I'm owed. And it's not like me and Jason, it's not good versus bad. It's just who's better. Am I better than him? Is he better than me? And I know I'm better than him. So every time we faced off before, he's had to cheat to win. So that's why I come back and we thought, why not make it bigger and better than ever? So we'll do tables, ladders, and chairs. Whenever that'll be, I mean, it really does depend. It's my call when that'll happen. So do it at the next show, which is June 25th.
Correct.
Or I could do it some point down the line, throughout the summer, after the summer. It all really depends when I want to do it. So Jason's just got to make sure he holds on to that title until I come back and reclaim it.
Well, he's what is he currently champion for something like 302 days, so he's done a pretty good job of keeping that title warm.
Like I said, Jason's my pal. Jason's my friend. I think he'll make it to a year. I don't think there's anyone that's going to take it off him until then. So he's got another, 302 days? So he's got another 63 days to hold on to it to make a year. Is that right?
Yeah, and here's the thing with Jason.
That's right.
Yeah, that's correct. here's the thing with Jason King. Whilst we're thinking about him, there's something about Academy title matches that just makes him. It takes him from here, and he just comes even further up. He's like, there's that extra determination in him that he brings out for those Academy title matches. It makes him difficult to beat.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, tables, ladders, and chairs. I've got experience of ladders now, so I know what that animal is, whereas he doesn't know what that animal is. So I've instantly got an advantage in that sort of sense. But we've just got to wait and see what happens when we are both in the ring together.
That's it. I'm looking forward to that. I said that last time, actually, because that's I think the last time you hadn't just won that Rumble and won your opportunity. So the fact that that's going to be happening, it's going to be TLC. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Yep.
And here's a question, which is quite an interesting one, actually. See, I get to talk to quite a few guys, right? Being the sort of neutral journalist that kind of floats in between all the camps and everything like that. You tend to hear it's just a general conversation. It comes up quite a fair bit. It's like, who do you keep your eye on? And like, it's like, who do you keep your eye on? Who do you think's the one that's gonna burst through and make it big time? One of those people's names that comes up really quite consistently is Grayson Reeves, which is why I'm mentioning it on this show with Grayson Reeves. And my question is, when you ever hear things like that, like, oh, by the way, you're one to watch, actually, does that add like extra pressure, or is it more inspirational? It's like, okay, you've said this, I'm going to prove that you're absolutely right. Or is it like, ooh, Jesus, I better live up to this now?
There's no pressure at all, because it only comes down to how I do it myself. So like, it's hard. So when people say like I'm one to watch or whatever, that's the biggest compliment ever. I mean, I've still got so much longer to go. I'm literally only just over a year in. So I'm like, I started March last year, so I'm like a year and 3 months in, which is like nothing. But people should be saying I'm one to watch when I'm like 5 years in. So like, to have it at like a year and 3 months is like quite the biggest compliment. But at the same time, I've still got so much longer to go. I mean, I'm just starting to branch out a little bit. My main base of WAW is where I'm going to stay for like the near 2 years, at least, if not longer. So like, I want to stay here and learn as much as possible, as quickly as possible, especially if like I get to work with more guys and all that sort of stuff. And so like, it's an endless fountain of knowledge, especially being around Soraya and Zach and Roy and Ricky. So like, I've got no reason to go anywhere else. No, I don't need to. I moved here for a reason. I moved here to learn and things like that. So to live up to the hype in the sense that I'm still so inexperienced, I am going to fall down occasionally. I'm not going to have the best match on every card. I'm not going to have go. Sometimes I am going to stink the joint out, and it's how you live with it. It's how you get over that and move on to the next one. So you can just be like, oh, didn't go my way tonight. We'll try and make it a better match next week. So you can always improve, and like, it's all about thinking about what you can do differently. So if you do something and it messes up and you think you can do more than you can, then you just switch it, do something different. Luckily I have where I've had okay matches, but it's nothing. Every time I feel like I've been put in a singles match, I've done pretty well, especially like the last month or so. Every match I've been in, I feel like has been good, and that's including like multi-man matches. So like the money, the Skyden, like the 6-way cruiserweight one after, they were the two matches which I felt, even though they were multi-man matches and they're going to be like, people think, oh, there's going to be too many guys. The matches, we all 6 of us or all 10 of us played our part. So it's just making sure that that role continues on into the summer. I mean, the summer's going to be really busy, and that's where I'm probably going to learn the most. So it's just taking advantage of all of that. But there's no pressure. What will be, will be. I can only control my own destiny. So as long as I know I'm putting all the work in, then that's what's going to happen, isn't it?
I mean, that's definitely. It's probably the right attitude to have. In fairness, it's like pressure. If it's can only, well, pressure either makes diamonds or it cracks people. It's like, but if it's inspirational, then that's obviously the best thing.
Yeah.
So okay, here's a good one. Here's a fun one. What is the worst move you have ever taken?
Okay, there's many moves that I've taken that have been generally horrible. Package pile driver was not nice. It was okay, but it's not great. But I actually took 2 moves in the same match last week at Ultimate Pro Wrestling against Robin, which were dreadful. And I mean, like the worst. Like, I took a top rope Samoan drop from the top rope or from the middle rope, but it was like, so I was probably about 10 to 12 foot in the air, maybe. That was horrible because when you take a Samoan drop, especially off the top rope, you don't see where the floor is behind you. So he does it's like timber. So he just falls really slowly, and you're just there hooked in. You're looking back, and you're like, "Where's the floor? Where's the floor? Where's the floor?" And then splat, you hit the floor, and you're like, "Oh my god!" It's like takes the wind out of you, and you don't know how you're going to recover from it. You're like, "Oh Jesus!" And then later in the match, I took. Have you ever seen the Scott Steiner screwdriver?
Yes, I'm a big fan.
It's like a suplex. He gets you in a suplex, you and holds you front ways, and then drops you down in like a pile driver. And that isn't bad in terms of pain. It hurts, but it's not like huge amount of pain. It's the anticipation of. It's like when you're in like a roller coaster, like you know, them rides at like a theme park or something, where it goes up and up and up and up really slowly, and it stays at the top, and then you're just waiting for it to drop. And you're like, is it now? 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 And then it goes like that. That's exactly what a screwdriver's like. So he holds you up, and you're like, when's it coming? When's he going to drop me? When's he going to drop me? When's he going to drop me? And there's, and you're like, oh my god. And the way I did it, and the way Robin does it is really cool. So like when you bounce off the floor, when your head bounces, you literally pop out of it. And you literally, like, I remember the crowd were really behind him because he's such a badass. So when he did this move, the crowd were like, yeah, he hits it. And the crowd just go, because literally your head hits the floor and you bounce out and you're just like dead because it hurts. And the crowd just went silent and like gasped. And he pins me 1, 2, 3, and you're like, they're knocked out. And the crowd are just like, oh my God, he nearly killed him. That was the worst move to take, purely for the anticipation factor, because you don't know when the move's going to be hit. But other than that, I haven't really taken it. It's been fun to take some moves. Like it's fun taking the code sometimes, but giving moves as well. So it's like it's weird. Like especially, I remember seeing the podcast from Jason a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about the Blue Thunder Bomb.
Oh yeah,
he'd never taken it before. That's happened to me so many times when someone's come up to me and gone, right, we're going to do, and then I'll hit you with this, and I'll be like, okay. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know what that move is. And the first time I take it is when it's in the match. And but I would have to say the bull driver or the screwdriver or whatever you want to call it, and the top rope Samoan are the 2 worst bumps or 2 worst moves that I've taken. Just for the anticipation factor and then the pain after it.
Okay, so I train. So I've taken a few moves. I know what you mean by the Samoan drop thing. So I have done. We did a drill, front roll. It's just standard full back timber from the first rope. Then another one, second rope, do it. Another one, top rope, do it. So I kind of know what you mean by that top rope. You can't see the floor because you're facing outwards. It's like, it's like you think you're going to land a lot earlier than you do.
Yeah, and it just takes the wind out of you. It's just not good. I don't recommend doing it to anyone.
Well, I'd hit my head earlier in training as well. So I basically, when I landed, I was like also tensed up just out of pure fear. Yeah. I was like, oh, I felt really. Well, actually, that was at the end of my training session, so I just went completely lightheaded and white. I was like, I've got a 2 hour.
City, that.
I was like, I've got a 2 hour drive home to do. I was like, probably play this one safe. But the worst move ever was it was in training. CPW took the back cracker from Nathan Storm. Holy Jesus! He buried his knees right in the kidneys. Oh, I came off that. I like rolled off it. I was like, oh yeah.
Brutal.
I was like, oh yeah, that's a good finishing move because it really hurts. I was just like, that was the one that got me. I was like, I was like, I am definitely gonna make sure I do everything in my power to win everything in my matches to you. Never taking that move. Tell you how it is. And that was all my questions for you, which is quite nice because that's taken us right through 40 minutes.
Oh, thanks.
That's 40 minutes.
Awesome. On to the next thing.
Which is very quick.
Right.
Very, very quick before we get back to more questions for you. Now, we are going to talk to you about plugging. I want to bring plugging back to the show. I want to tighten things up and get hype. Get hyped. I want to be Mojo Rawley again. Now, so this is about LEP. Yesterday, Dimitri went on tour in Turkey. They tried to show him why the country's good. They failed. But the ultimate plan there is we're going to get some hype for this show. It's July the 25th, touched upon earlier. St. Anne's Hall, Barbican Road, Torquay. LEP comes home to the St. Anne's Hall for L10 Maximum Revenge. And Maximo will be facing Danny Walsh on this show, owing previous match interference from Danny Walsh on Maximo when Maximo is going for the LEP Academy title. So, hence, Maximum Revenge. LEP, July 25th, St. Anne's Hall, Barbican Road, Torquay. This is... the LEP always puts on something special at St. Anne's Hall, so it's always good to catch this show. Now, prices off my head. I believe it's £8 a ticket, with 25 for a family of 4, that's just a brilliant price. And you will be, and I'm still with LEP. I can guarantee you, the people down there, the stars of LEP, are going to put their hearts and their souls into that ring for your entertainment. So you're going to get your £8 worth and then some. I can promise you that. Now, I've said that. We can go back to interviewing Grayson Reeves. Yes.
Hello again.
He's back, yeah. Now, fan questions. That's the whole revised segment. We're not just going to go infinite amount of time. We're going to try and keep this now to sort of 10 minutes to try and keep the shows snappier with more information so we can advertise certain things and do all this. So
it's because Jason King likes to ramble on. That is exactly. I watched his last podcast. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes of him rambling on about pointless. However, there was one thing that I really loved. It was the question about if anyone's ever kicked out of his finish by Goz. I was there when Kitty Cat kicked out of his finish, and it was so funny. I was sat backstage, and I can't remember who I was on with. I might have been on with Eddie Ryan that day. I can't remember who I was on with. Yeah, it was. I was on with Eddie. He walks back. So me and Eddie are preparing for the match or whatever, and he walks upstairs after like the first Academy bit with him going on with Kitty Cat or whatever. He comes up so angry. He turns around and he goes, he kicks out of my finish. I was like, what? What do you mean he kicked out? He just goes, I was meant to do it, hit his and then lift his head up, and then it would have all been fine. But no, he kicked out of it. I was like, why? He goes, I have no idea. And he waited for him to come back up and he chewed him out backstage. It was so funny. It was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. And when he recants that story on your podcast, I was genuinely crying with laughter. So good. I was just like, why would you do this to me? That's exactly what. It was just great.
See the thing with Jason, that whole podcast was it's his first year anniversary, so he wanted to sort of do like a CM pod on the podcast about the first year. So in a sense, it wasn't a traditional Wrestlecast, and that's probably Otherwise, I would have attempted to at least to make some attempts to rein that podcast in. So I really needed a wee for the last 45 minutes. Interestingly, we're talking about Jason King. He has 2 questions for you.
Oh.
Yeah. So, when you wrestle Jason King for the and actually I should put emphasis on this, he put this in capitals, LEP Wrestling Academy Championship in a TLC match, how does it end? Same old story?
Is that what he says, same old story?
Yeah, he put in a little note there. Is it same old story?
Oh, well, the thing is I've never beaten Jason, and he never likes to let me forget it. So, like I said, I've got experience in the ladder match now. So, I've heard through like the grapevine that he's not good with heights. So that was another reason why I thought it would be good to climb the ladder. And I've even messaged Danny and said, I want you to put that title so high that we have to stand on the top of the ladder to get it. Because I know that Jay off because he's got a bit of weight issue at the moment where he's got a little bit of a belly coming on. So when he climbs up, he'll be like, oof. And then when he stands on it, the ladder probably wouldn't be able to take his weight, so he'd fall off. That was what I was going to go for. That's why I said TLC. So I think I've got a better chance now than I ever have. And he's got no way to cheat. Like, how is he going to cheat when there are no rules?
Well, exactly. You can't. You can't break a rule that's not there.
Exactly. So I'm very confident in my ability to beat him this time around, especially as he's put on a bit of a timber. So.
Alrighty. His second question is also, in a way, it's sort of fishing for compliments in a way. What do you think of Jason King as a professional wrestler / entertainer, and how does he compare to the GR that is Grayson Reeves?
I can't believe you asked that question.
That laugh almost answers the question.
Me and him joke all the time about this. As an entertainer, second to none. Crowd works great. As a wrestler, I think that he's very good at what he does. He's not the best in the world at what he does, but he is very good at what he does. His style, he's very good at. But if you wanted to have him technically wrestle, and I always say to him, your matches are great, but you just need more wrestling. He doesn't wrestle enough. He needs to wrestle more. And he's always like, no, I don't. I can do. I just work the crowd. I'm like, yeah, you can work the crowd, but sometimes it's just just do a bit more. In comparison to me, I would say his crowd works way better than mine. Well, way better. Mine's got better, but his is still better than mine. In terms of wrestling ability, he will never be as good as me. I'm joking. That's really bad. In terms of wrestling ability, that's where we differ a little bit more. And I actually do a bit more technical wrestling and like that sort of stuff. But he is mainly crowd work and selling. Going back to his selling, he needs to learn to flip bumps. You know, when he watches this back, he's going to kill me for saying that. But yeah, he needs to learn to not flip bump on his ass. But generally, but the thing is, I also find that he's a heel, or he's meant to be a bad guy, but he's just too damn funny. So he'll go out there and make everyone laugh. And I'm like, dude, come on. You're not meant to make people laugh. You're meant to make them hate you. And they're laughing with you. It could be the fact that they're laughing at how bad of a wrestler he is, to be fair.
They might be laughing at him. But
yeah, rather than with.
Yeah. So,
yeah. But yeah, I think... Oh, carry on. No, go on.
Ooh. No, I thought there was a bit more. Okay.
No.
All right, in fairness. Next question comes from Owen Day, who asks, that's quite a nice little question, when are you going to next be coming down to the Southwest?
Good question. Not sure. Genuinely not sure, because I'm pretty full with the summer, because I'm doing all the holiday camps the whole summer. So that's from the 1st of January until middle of September. I will be pretty much traveling everywhere doing shows and stuff. So I'm not really sure when I'll be back. I'd like to think September, hopefully. So if LEP have a show in September, then I'll probably do the TLC there. Not that I'm going to tell Jason that. Might do it in the summer. But yeah, September possibly. I'm not going to be back down before then.
Now, there's another question that was submitted.
Is this from Good Kid by any chance?
This is from a man called Adam Babbage Cox, a.k.a. Good Kid. Now, here's the thing.
He's a bad kid.
Here's the thing. Your question, Mr. Adam, is not suitable for live broadcast.
No. So, say it.
Shall we? I didn't actually write it down. I was ashamed. I was going to say in regards to your question, but anyway, since you have requested the question, I shall find it on. I shall find it on the Facebook. Here it is. Okay, on your head, beat it, Mr. Grayson Reeves. Are the rumors about you being an absolute shithouse true?
If the same rumors about him being a shithouse are true, then I suppose it must be true. In fact, I haven't seen him wrestle in a while, so for all I know, he could have gotten worse. So I don't know. The rumors could be true. I'm not claiming to be anything above a shithouse, but it's just funny. He's such an idiot.
In fairness, for now, Adam, your feedback has been filed to the relevant department, and at this moment, no further action is required.
No, it's definitely not. No further action will be taken. It'll probably be put into incinerator and burned, to be honest, because his opinion is worth nothing.
And that is the 10 minutes of fan questions. Yay!
Oh yeah.
Which means we're coming up to almost a full hour of Wrestlecast. We've got 2 more things to talk about. Then we're going to do some outros, going to plug Facebooks and all that good stuff. But first, I talked about a 6'8", 350-pound monstrous piece of news from CPW, and here it is. Are you ready? The Monster Abyss is coming down to Bodmin to do a wrestling seminar with Cornish Pro Wrestling. That's correct. TNA superstar, the Monster Abyss, is coming down for a wrestling seminar. That is Wednesday, the 10th of August at, I think it's called Robarts Junior School. Their name's actually printed wrong on the poster. That was a typo, actually.
Damn CPW.
Yeah, there's a correction on there from the CPW page.
Speaking of CPW, actually, I've got a question. This is to Terry Speller, actually. Terry Speller, when am I going to be back at CPW? That's something that I want to know. So if he gets to watch this, that's what I want to know. I want to know when I'll be back. I can't do the big birthday bash, which I would really like. He goes to CPW, is going to get a great show because Bubblegum is awesome, absolutely awesome. Tagging up with Joel Redman as well, not bad. Terry, you're a shrewd businessman. Yeah, what I want to know is when I'll be back at CPW. And if he wants to put me on with Jason King so I can teach him a lesson for all the Cornish fans, that would be great.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have a hotline to Terry Speller. I do.
Do you?
Oh yeah, so I can. I need to know information for the podcast. I need to hype stuff. So I'll tell you what. I could give Terry Speller a ring right after this show goes off the air. I can give him that feedback.
Yeah, you need to. My feedback should be noted and passed to the relevant department.
And then further action
should be taken. Action should be taken.
Yeah. But yes, the Monster Abyss is coming down to bomb in for a wrestling seminar Wednesday the 10th of August. The price is £40. Now, I know that sounds like quite a lot, but it's the Monster Abyss. And not only is it the Monster Abyss, this wrestling seminar starts at 9:30 a.m., runs all the way through to 4:30 p.m. That is 7 hours in ring with the Monster Abyss. That's huge right there. Now, there is something important to note. There are only 3 more spaces left. So if you're interested in learning how to wrestle with Abyss, and you should be, why wouldn't you be? 3 spaces left. Get your name in. You have to go to the CPW Bootcamp page. I will provide a link to that in the description. Send your email in saying, I want to be trained by Abyss. And then that you should be added to the roster of people going to that. I mean, that is a huge opportunity. I think we can all agree. I mean, I want to go.
Definitely. I mean, are you actually going? Are you going?
I've already put my name in, yes.
Of course you have. It's good to know. I mean, you don't get many guys who are 6'8" and what is it? How many pounds?
350 has always been billed at. Yeah.
350. Not many times you can learn from someone that big. It'd be good to learn, like, if you're a big guy, definitely go. Guys as well, because you learn how to work against the big guys. So everyone should go, basically. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
there's only 3 spots left.
He is incredibly. I mean, he's been in the game a long time as well. He is a veteran since. Well, the first time I found out him was 2003 during TNA's Asylum years.
I don't claim to be a TNA watcher. To be fair, I'm sorry.
I sort of dip in and out, but that's when he first came to my. In fact, it was Abyss. It was one of the first guys that sort of got me into it because seeing Crazy Monsters Ball, I was like, "This is awesome." So yeah. Outro. Okay, now I'm going to try and neaten this whole thing up. So, Mr. Grayson Reeves, where can everybody find you on the internet if they want to find out, for instance, when you're next coming down to the Southwest?
Grayson Reeves on Facebook. Grayson Reeves 1, all one word, and the letter and the actual figure number 1 on Twitter, and then Grace99 on Instagram. So GRAYS 99 on Instagram. And I'm telling you right now, follow Instagram because Instagram is where all my I nearly said the swear word then, but that's where all my stuff usually goes on. So like all photos of matches and stuff like that. And follow me on Twitter because I'm really funny. Sort of. Well,
that's a really good reason. And for me, you can find me on Facebook at Glenn. I say it every week. And you can find me on Twitter at Glenn_Chun. And you can also email me if you want. Hey, you can request guests. Why not? Email me. That is glenchun14@gmail.com. That's where you can find me. I'm going to be working on Instagram and actually getting active on it. I keep neglecting camera-based entertainment, but I'm going to do my best to sort that out. And that's where you can find us. I will put those links in the description as well. So everything that I've sort of said, I'll be... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be going back over this podcast, listening to everything I'm going to link, and then link it all. So it should all be there, hopefully 2 hours, no later, if you're watching this live. If you're not watching this live, you don't need to listen to that. But for now, for everybody who has watched this episode, if you like this episode, please remember, like, subscribe.
Share.
I am needy. I need you to do that.
Share. I want to beat 160 views. Share it. Share it.
Absolutely. Share it. This podcast needs to go somewhere. So,
if I beat 160 views, I will give out a signed body part.
Exactly. Grayson Reeves is going to
chop my finger off or something.
Oh, I was about to write a check there that you probably couldn't cash. Holler at mid-player. So yes, that was Wrestlecast episode 20 with Grayson Reeves.
I'll be back for episode 50.
Episode 50. Why not? Episode 50. We're booking that far ahead. For now, thank you very, very, very much for watching, and hopefully you'll join me next week where I'm hoping anyway, we will have one super fresh guest. For now, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.